Good afternoon and welcome to the news on Zodiac. Top stories this hour. Police arrest 6 at immigration offices on allegations that they incited violence and damaged public property. Defense team wants Mayor Bushiri off the hook in the Bushiri's extradition case. Government scales down implementation of irrigation schemes to inspire private sector investment in irrigation farming. Elsewhere, Rwanda's President Paul Kagame breaks his own record by winning Monday's election with more than 99% of the vote. Those were the headlines. We now give you the news in detail. Police in Lilongwe last evening arrested 6 people at the Immigration Department offices on allegation that they incited violence and damaged government and public property. Central Region Police spokesperson Foster Benjamin says the 6 are all men aged between 22 and 57 and are reportedly middlemen, also known as Doba Doba, who help people get passports. Benjamin claims the 6 were among a group that was allegedly obstructing immigration officers as they were knocking off, blocking their way and stoning offices and vehicles.
We have arrested 6 people after they incited violence at the immigration office, where they also damaged some office glasses and the windows for vehicles which belong to immigration officers. These suspects were aged between 22 and 57, posted themselves as the passport agents. So today they were at the immigration office after they allegedly collected some money from some applicants in the hope that they would facilitate production of their passports. So when the immigration officers were calling these suspects, decided to get to these officers in order to help them so that they could fulfill what they had promised those people whom they had collected the money. But the immigration officers did not buy into this argument. So later on, they started blocking the road. They also went on damaged some glasses of the offices, and they also pelted some stones to the vehicles that belong to the immigration officers. So, as of now, they have been charged with 3 offenses, inciting violence, endangering the life of people who are traveling by the road, and malicious damage. And they will be taken before court to answer to these charges.
Lawyers representing the Bushiris in their extradition case have asked South African government to provide evidence on why Mayor Bushiri should be extradited to that country to answer alleged fraud and money laundering charges. When cross-examining a state witness yesterday, one of the defense lawyers, Anel van der Herve, argued that there was no direct link of Bushiri's wife Mary to the charges. State lawyer Dzionde Antumalunda says they will provide their response in the final analysis on the submissions made by the defense team.
That's a tough one. We've commented before. I think we'll address these issues in the submissions. You will recall we made a number of objections. We think the line of questioning dwells on the evidence, and we still believe in extradition matters. That is supposed to be something that should be done at the trial court, in this case in the Republic of South Africa. But because there have been rulings, we respect the court's rulings actually, and it is our intention to address this issue extensively in the final analysis that we will submit to the court. But whether it's supposed to happen would be maybe the issue for argument, and our argument would be that maybe that was not supposed to be the case. But it is what it is, and as I said, we will address all these issues in the final analysis that we are going to submit and file with the
People's Transformation Party, Petra, has urged the Attorney General and Malawi Environmental Protection Authority, MEPA, to expedite vacation of an injunction which 11 plastic manufacturing companies obtained from the High Court, stopping government from enforcing the thin plastics ban. Petra's President Kamuzu Juambo says thin plastics are heavily impacting on the environment and contributing to perennial floods in urban areas. Minister of Justice spokesperson Frank Namangale says the Office of the Attorney General is working hand in hand with other stakeholders to have the injunction vacated. Zuleka Nangu has filed this report.
People's Transformation Party Petra President Kamuzu Chiwambo says the country is suffering from the aftermath of its failure to conserve the environment, as its previous policies of allowing the manufacturing, trading and distribution of thin plastics of less than 60 microns put the environment at risk. In a statement released on Thursday, the party says Malawi needs to learn from countries like Rwanda, where they banned thin plastics and people found using or manufacturing them are taken to task. Chiwambo says there is need for the country to put in place strategies that will help in restoring the environment.
The companies that are making these thin plastics, they should really get this message straight. We are strongly calling upon them to stop immediately making these thin plastics. But if they cannot take this route, then our message to them is they're not welcome in Malawi. And they can go wherever they want to go and do their business.
The Ministry of Justice spokesperson Frank Namangale says government is doing its best to vacate the injunction and start enforcing the laws.
We do appreciate that more support we are getting from various individuals, various institutions. But then these are matters that are in court, and the nation should be rest assured that the Attorney General, in consultations with other institutions, is doing everything possible to ensure that this injunction is vacated. There are things that are being done on the ground.
On 24 June this year, the Ministry of Natural Resources and Climate Change announced that the government will resume enforcement of regulations on thin plastics on 8 July, which was stopped as the companies sought court relief on 25 June. Zuleika Nanguo, Zodiac, Lilongwe.
The third round tobacco estimates have revealed that the country has produced 129 million kilograms, down from the estimated 140 million kilograms. This is 11 million kilograms less than what was earlier estimated. Nonetheless, Tobacco Commission spokesperson Tereforas Chigwenembe says the yield is 7% higher than the 120 million kilograms realized in 2023.
A third round of crop estimates survey gives us more accurate picture of the reality on the ground. Now, the third round, which we conducted in June this year, has revealed that the country has 129 million kilograms of tobacco. That's what is expected, and we believe that at the end of the season, that's the volume that we will have. In the second round, which was conducted in February this year, we found out that there would be 140 million kilograms of the crop. Now, there is a difference of about 11 million kilograms, and we attribute this difference to rampant illegal cross-border trade. There are some people that have been taking our tobacco out of the country. The second reason is that after the second round, there were some persistent dry spells which affected the crop in the field. And the third reason is that some farmers experienced some post-harvest losses. They had the crop, but then after harvesting, there were some losses that were registered.
Catholic bishops from Zimbabwe, Zambia and Malawi have agreed to form an association called Association of Catholic Bishops Conferences of Malawi, Zambia and Zimbabwe, ACB Mazazi, which will be headquartered in Lusaka, Zambia. The resolution has been made at the end of the second sub-region conference of bishops from the three countries held in Lilongwe and Salima from Monday. Archbishop George Tambala, president of the Episcopal Conference of Malawi ECM, says ACB Mazazi aims to strengthen a good working relationship among the three countries. You're watching the news on Zodiac with me, Chancemo Zavanda. We'll be back after this break.
St. Louis High School would like to inform the general public that they will be having Form 1 entrance examinations on the 2nd of August, 2024 at the Lilongwe Christian Primary School opposite C Company at 9 o'clock in the morning. The students are required to bring a registration fee of 10,000 kwacha, a pen and a pencil, and their MANEB PSL IDs as proof of their candidacy for the past exam. Places are available in Forms 1, 2, and 3 for the 2024-2025 academic year. For more information, contact the following numbers: 0997 675 722, 0884 544 678 or 0990 184 040. St. Louis High School. Experience excellence.
Life moves fast, and so should your packages. Say goodbye to waiting and hello to convenience with Post Courier, your go-to courier service. When you choose Post Courier, you're choosing speed, reliability, and peace of mind. I can always count on Post Courier for quick and safe deliveries. They never let me down.
Welcome back. A look at the top stories this afternoon. Police arrest 6 at immigration offices on allegations that they incited violence and damaged public property. Defense team wants Mayor Bushiri off the hook in the Bushiris extradition case. Government scales down implementation of irrigation schemes to inspire private sector investment in irrigation farming. And elsewhere, Rwanda's President Paul Kagame breaks his own record by winning Monday's election with more than 99% of the vote. Government says it's scaling down implementation of irrigation schemes to encourage private sector investment in irrigation farming for improved food security. Minister of Agriculture Sam Kawale announced this in Blantyre at the end of the sector annual review meeting with district irrigation officers focusing on promoting sustainable irrigation practices and enhancing agricultural productivity. He added that irrigation schemes damaged by cyclones Anna and Freddie across the country are being rehabilitated with a 53 billion kwacha budget and support from donors.
Now, over the past couple of years, we've seen development of massive irrigation schemes from Chitipa all the way to Nsanja. And even as recently as last month, where we started the construction of a 400-hectare irrigation project in Doa, over the Doa Dambo area. The reason why we want to invest more through different funding mechanisms is to make sure that every household has adequate food to last them all year round and even have surplus for them to sell and generate the much needed income. Now, as a Ministry of Agriculture, we have different funding methods or sources of funds. The first one is through the Green Belt Authority, the one that we are partnering with the private sector to develop irrigation at a commercial level. And then we have the Mega Farm Support Unit, which we are also investing a lot of money to help the private sector produce using irrigation. Now, the future of irrigation or the future of agriculture in Malawi lies with promotion of the private sector. So as a ministry, as a government, we are going to see a scaling down actual implementation of irrigation, but take that money and give it to the private sector. But as we are transitioning in that phase, it doesn't mean that we are not going to do anything. That's why we have mega farms and irrigation in Cholo and in Mulanje, Utare, and then also in Nkarabe and Salima, where we have invested heavily in irrigation to make sure that as a government we're producing something while we are empowering the private sector to be involved in.
National Statistical Office NSO says unavailability of men in their houses during daytime, mostly in urban areas, is affecting data collection for the Malawi Health Demographic Survey, which started in May. NSO Commissioner of Statistics Shelton Kanyanda says that as a result, enumerators are working late hours to meet men for data collection in the exercise, which will end in August. The Nzuzu City Council Director of Planning, Philemon Maseko, has therefore advised residents of the city to work positively with enumerators for sound data that will help them make informed decisions. Steve Zimba's report.
Malawi Health Demographic Survey will help the government and its partners like donors to effectively respond to various needs of people based on correct data. During a spot check of the survey in Mzuzu, National Statistical Office Commissioner of Statistics Shelton Kanyanda says that despite the exercise going well, they have noticed some glitches that are affecting the effective collection of information.
We are collecting blood samples, so people are always hesitant to provide their blood. But what we assure people is that this is statistical. So it's not their blood per se, it's the blood that we analyze countrywide. So that's why we have been learning jingles on the radio, doing posters, and meeting even community leaders. This is just to make sure that we are being as open as possible.
Among other objectives of the survey is to assess micronutrient deficiencies in people. The Mzuzu City Council Director of Planning, Fremon Maseko, says that residents should know that the survey is solely for data collection and not for registration for the provision of social services.
That the data which is collected is basically on the health issues. Is not connected to politics, is not connected to social protection in terms of response of cash transfer or any other social protection that the city or the government is providing to the people. But people should know and understand that they are free to give out information on their health aspect.
The data collection exercise, which started in May this year, is expected to be completed by the end of August. For Zodiac in Mzuzu, this is Steve Zimba reporting.
The Malawi Human Rights Commission says shortage of drugs, medical supplies, inhuman and degrading conditions for prisoners are among challenges the citizenry continues to face, hindering enjoyment of their human rights. Its Executive Secretary Habiba Osman says drug shortage and drug theft continues to affect people's health, while in prison, lack of food impacts on formation of prisoners. She said this when the Commission presented its 2024-2025 plans before the Parliamentary Committee on Legal Affairs. We have this report.
Despite many achievements the country has gained in the promotion of human rights, people in the country continue to face some challenges which prevents them from exercising some rights, such as right to health. For instance, Malawi Human Rights Commission Executive Secretary Habiba Osman says the Commission has been investigating issues of drug theft at Karunga District Hospital, among the challenges the residents there raised, which she says is limiting people's access to health services. She says the report will be released next week and will be handed over to the Ministry of Health.
But also just access to the health services. So as a commission, we know that these issues are not only peculiar to Karunga, they are happening throughout the country. So we at least had the opportunity as a commission ourselves to start off with Karunga, because that's where the issues really came out heatedly.
Chairperson for the Legal Affairs Committee of Parliament, Peter Dimba, says as a committee they will be engaging relevant authorities to help address the concerns raised.
Quite a number of issues that as a committee we plan to do, interventions that we plan to do so that we could actually deal with some of the issues that as a commission, which is a watchdog for human rights in Malawi, could really be helped with.
Among others, this year the Malawi Human Rights Commission plans to investigate 400 complaints of human rights violations and provide appropriate solutions, as well as carry out awareness campaigns through sensitization meetings to empower the public and ensure they demand their rights. The Commission has since called for more funding to fully exercise its mandate. Zuleika Nanguo, Zodiac, Lilongwe.
In other news, Rwanda's President Paul Kagame has smashed his own record by winning Monday's elections with more than 99% of the vote. The 66-year-old won the 2017 election with 98.63% of the vote, higher than the 93% he got in 2010 and the 95% in 2003. His critics say Kagame's thundering majorities come as no surprise, as he rules with an iron hand. However, his supporters say they point to his huge popularity, with Rwanda having achieved stability and economic growth under his rule. Kagame is a former rebel commander whose forces swept to power in 1994, ending a genocide that claimed the lives of around 800,000 people in 100 days. And that's about what we had time for in this edition of the news.